Let us discuss passage number 4 of the paper. It is followed by 3 questions. It talks about the global financial crisis and its aftermath that have brought home to governments worldwide the realization that they are affected by changes in the global financial product and services markets to a significantly greater extent than ever before. Governments worldwide have also tried to coordinate their responses to the crisis through discussions at intergovernmental forums such as G20. Now, while the effectiveness of such coordinated intervention is patchy at best, there is one implication of this concerted effort that has an implication of administrative structures in the developing countries, the spread of global regulations and standards into domestic regulation. So basically this paragraph tells us that the governments worldwide are realizing that they are affected by changes in the global financial product and services markets to a significantly greater extent than ever before. And this is and all the governments worldwide are try to coordinate their responses through intergovernmental forums such as G20. The effectiveness of these interventions, however, is patchy, but still there is one implication of this concerted effort, that has an implication for administrative structures in developing countries, and that is the spread of global regulation and standards into domestic regulation. So that is what we get to know from the first paragraph. The second paragraph tells us the process of globalization gathered pace primarily because of two factors. So the second paragraph switches to the process of globalization, how it has gained pace. It's because of two factors: reduced trade and investment barriers worldwide, particularly in developing countries, and the rapid growth of technology, which made global delivery of services possible. As governments worldwide try to increase their international trade and attract greater investment into their domestic markets, they reduce barriers to trade and investment significantly. While this has ensured greater mobility of capital for investment, it has also increased the power of investors in relation to governments. Governments became reluctant to retain high barriers to trade and investment for fear that investors will turn away and seek more investment-friendly locations elsewhere. They have also seen harmonization of all domestic regulation with global regulation as a way of attracting foreign investment into their economies. Governments have sometimes competed with each other to reduce regulation or harmonize them with other states, leading to a situation where some regulations that are essential in a national context to protect domestic producer or consumer interest have been either removed or significantly amended. Consider the following statements. The main aim of discussions at international forums is the channeling of global regulations into domestic regulation. Well, we can very easily mark this as an incorrect statement, because channeling of global regulation into domestic regulation is not described as the main aim of discussions in the passage. Rather, it has been described as an implication of the discussion. So it is merely an implication of the discussion, not the main aim of the discussion. Therefore, this is incorrect. The effectiveness of international forums such as the G20 is based on their ability to spread global regulation into domestic regulation. This again is incorrect, because if you look at the last line over here, it says that it only says that while the effectiveness of such coordinated intervention is patchy at best, there is one implication of this concerted effort, and that implication is the spread of global regulation and standards into domestic countries. So the effectiveness of international forums is based on their ability to spread global regulation is a wrong assumption. So this is incorrect. Therefore, the answer will be option D. In order to increase the investment opportunities from investors worldwide, the government in developing countries has reduced the trade and investment barriers. Well, the removing the trade barriers is given here. It says that as governments worldwide try to increase their international trade and attract greater investment into the domestic market, they reduced barriers to trade and investment significantly. So here the passage is talking about the countries all over the world reducing the barriers related to trade and investment, and not just about the developing countries specifically. However, this statement here talks about specifically developing countries, so we cannot mark it as correct. This is incorrect. Statement 2 says mobility of capital for investment purposes is directly proportional to the hurdles relating to trade and investment. Let us see. While this has ensured greater mobility of capital for investment, it has also quite naturally increased the power of investors in relation to the governments. So as per this, is this statement correct? Mobility of capital for investment purposes is directly proportional to the hurdles relating to trade and investment. Well, this is incorrect with respect to the line that we just read, because there is an indirect relation between mobility of capital and hurdles relating to trade and investment, not a direct relation. Therefore, the answer is option D. What is the author's central focus in the passage? Need for higher mobility of capital for investment, the emergence of global regulations in the domestic market, the issue of global financial crisis worldwide, or the process of globalization. Well, option B very well encompasses the whole central idea, the emergence of global regulations in the domestic market. That's what the whole passage is talking about. That the even in the first paragraph we are told about the same thing, that the spread of global regulations and standards and into domestic regulation. This we have already marked here. And then how it how, because of the policies of governments changed, like there has been the government worldwide try to increase their international trade and attract greater investment into the domestic markets. They reduce barriers to trade, and this and then later harmonization of domestic regulation with global regulation as a way of attracting foreign investment into their economy. So all of this is related to the emergence of global regulations in the domestic market, which is the main idea of the passage. The passage only further discusses the various aspects of it and the various aspects related to it. If you look at option A, it is quite narrow in scope, so therefore this cannot be the central idea. The higher mobility of capital is just one aspect, the one result of reducing the trade barriers and all. The issue of global financial crisis worldwide, this is again very general statement. This is not the central idea. The process of globalization, again this is again very general and of course not the central idea of the passage.